Hi, this is Kyle Hebert, the voice of Kamina from Gurren Lagann, and you're watching Wicked Anime, a show for manly men!
Wicked Anime!
The apocalypse genre. The many different ways to tell how humanity will one day reach its impending doom. But depending on where you go, you may hear that it's become a tiresome genre, and that it may be getting a little old. So sometimes to keep a genre fresh, you need to create a story that takes a different route from the run-of-the-mill. This past summer, we saw the premiere of Jinryu wa Suitai Shimashita. Humanity has declined. Now, I didn't know what to expect going into this show, and after watching the majority of the season, I still don't know what to expect every time I hit the play button. Humanity Has Declined is just so delightfully strange that it can be hard to put into words, so we'll call it, Grafaffle. Grafaffle's a good word. The first episode seems pretty normal. Life is hard for the remaining people of Earth, which has been reduced to a brightly colored countryside for as far as the eye can see, with colonial-style housing and simple ways of living. It's almost like they live in an anime Minecraft. In this episode, we meet our main character, Mediator. No, seriously, that's her name. No real identity is ever given for any of the characters in this show. But why such a name? Well, her job is to be a mediator between the humans and the fairies. At first glance, the fairies seem to be these creatures that are dependent on the humans in order to survive. The humans trade sweets to the fairies in exchange for something. The fairies themselves are these morbidly adorable creatures that talk with the mentality that if they don't have the humans, there can be nothing but death and destruction. Yay! But almost immediately we learn these creatures have the ability to create almost anything out of thin air. Buildings, furniture, electricity, even more fairies. So what's the purpose of the humans? Literally the only thing the fairies can't do is make sweets. And why won't the humans just ask the fairies to rebuild their economy? This show is weird. Now granted, I'm playing a bit of devil's advocate here. The questions do get explained eventually. Over here. More or less. And what I mean by that is they literally tell you in just a couple sentences. But the vagueness behind the show is where you find its charm, and because the show is already so grafaffle, we are already willing to accept whatever answer they give you. The show is weird. Okay, so as for each and every episode in the show, they're all pretty much just standalone stories. Every 2 episodes or so, it's like the show completely reboots itself. As a matter of fact, each episode is so different from one another, if the characters and the art style weren't the same, you could guess that you were watching a completely different show altogether. The structure for the first 2 episodes are so different from the rest of the series, it's as if the director had changed after the script had been written for them. However, once the viewer gets to around episode 6 or 7, all is revealed as why nothing has connected. Or at least that's when I figured it out. 'Cause I'm smart. Let me explain it to you using high-quality diagram examples. While 99% of shows on TV structure their episodes in, let's say, this fashion, Humanity Has Declined looks like this. Yeah, sense. The structure seems to be completely backwards in its ways of storytelling, disassembling the story from its height rather than building it up. So the beginning of the show may have been so different from the end because of the fact that all of the characters had all the answers revealed to them, and then as the show progressed, we found out that they were learning everything at the moment we were learning too, and I wasn't expecting to get an aneurysm from doing this review. I'll give it this, the whole reverse structure thing works. They start you off at this point that gives you the idea to just accept how things are, with the characters and the fairies and all the silly goings-ons. And then they continue on to break it down for you, and then you learn the whys and hows of characters, relationships, and status. However, the flaw in all of that, it leaves behind all these unanswered questions that are left from the very first episode, and they're never revisited. Characters never stick around either. You would assume that if these characters would have been shown from the first episode, then they would be introduced earlier in the timeline. At least they would make an appearance of some sort. But they don't. The animation in the show is nothing revolutionary. But it's the timing, the imagery, the expressions that you see, that's what shines through in these characters, and it truly makes it something special. The show altogether is downright funny, and its twisted sense of humor makes the show unique. And you know, there's another part that I've never really focused on in any of my other reviews, but I am quite drawn to this series' opening and closing themes. The music in the show is fantastic, and the themes are made quite visually stunning as well. So overall, this is a show that's just a neat little story. It's a cleverly written take on the apocalypse, with funny characters and a unique take on audience appeal. I give Humanity Has Declined a wicked B-. The show is weird!